You're seeing a fast-track court in the month of August, which is the first time that has happened, and you've seen that on the back of 2 special criminal courts for children. On the back of criminal proceeding rules as well, judge only, preliminary inquiry next on deck in September. So the place and space to have this discussion could not have happened from a governmental perspective before that criminal justice focus was delivered. Now, from my perspective, Trinidad and Tobago is using our statistics when you talk about number of prisoners, cost of management, cost of justice, the number of cases in arrears. You now know it like the back of your hands. That's the first time in my memory that something like that has been taken, a measured approach to who we are and what we are, and not shirking away from the realities of the situation. It was the same approach we took for child marriage. It was the same approach that we took for a number of issues in our country. So this is the beginning of a discussion, because we're now respectfully ready for that discussion. And this morning's event was specifically coordinated at the Prime Minister's request. In fact, the Prime Minister was supposed to be a part of this meeting, but we're dividing and conquering. Forgive my attire. I'm in constituency today. Minister Hines is in office today. We have different schedules, but the Prime Minister ensured that yesterday we had this convened meeting. We should have had it at the office of the Prime Minister. Ms. Muller has very kindly agreed to have it here. So the road ahead is one that is staged upon proper consultation and then consideration by Cabinet of the outcome of that. And of course, you want to hear from Ms. Muller.
Yes. Okay, so this morning we are coming with a team that is going to present a case that we believe is rock solid. It is coming from a perspective of legal research, social, medical, spiritual, because we have the Rastafari to consider in a diverse, multi-ethnic country like this. We must uphold all spiritual beliefs. If the Hindus and Muslims believe their girl children should be married off at 12 and 14, and we break international conventions on children's rights to allow them to do so, then the Rastafari should be allowed to use their sacrament. Okay? So we have also looked at the statistics supplied by the Minister of Legal Affairs, and we are looking at 3,000 males arrested last year for possession of cannabis. We are looking at costs of $20,000 to $25,000 a month to maintain a prisoner. We are looking at an overburdened judicial system that could be cleared of maybe 40% of their cases. 11% of remand prisoners are in there for possession of narcotics. So these discussions, they have to be conducted quickly. There is no need for consultation, because we were asked to take part in the CARICOM consultation and we refused, so that time has now passed. The marijuana report is quite clear with recommendations. The 3 options are decriminalisation, legalisation with strict controls as with alcohol and tobacco, or total legalisation where we allow the private sector to take control with oversight from the government. So those are the 3 options that we are working with at the Caribbean Collective for Justice.
How can we say that one is optimistic from both sides, that there could be a meeting of the minds going forward from this point?
Absolutely.
Let me just say that immediately the advocacy group's position is that there's no need for consultation. Clearly, they've reached the outer limit of their preparatory work, but from a governmental perspective, we absolutely consider that consultation is required. And that is no different from the approach that we've taken on other burning issues. I mean, Ms. Muller just raised Muslims and Hindus with underage marriage. I'll just remind her, we abolished that. So those sacraments are gone under the laws of Trinidad and Tobago. You see, there's a question of balance in our society that we have to have, and that the government must have careful perspective on. So we are determined that there will be consultation. One doesn't need to reside in analysis paralysis. I've explained the government's perspective that this issue could not have been addressed before we started addressing the criminal justice system, because it isn't that any and everybody who's engaged in a dangerous drug automatically gets a walk out of jail card. That is not the case. We are in a narco-trafficking arena. There's serious criminality concerned with some of these affairs, and the government is extremely cautious that we find the right prescription through the consultative process as we approach the Cabinet for its consideration.
May I also ask if at a later time the Prime Minister will be involved in these discussions, or is this the meeting which will report back to him?
Well, the Prime Minister is always involved insofar as he heads the Cabinet. as members of the Attorney General's office, both Minister Hines and I do our work, and then we present it for the collective consideration of our cabinet colleagues, and the Prime Minister is obviously the chairman of the cabinet. As you know, he met with Ms. Muller outside of the Parliament, and he gave us specific instructions to begin now. I think that the Prime Minister's position about prioritization must be understood carefully. The prioritization was in a context of other issues which we have afoot, but it's only now that we're seeing the product of the criminal justice system beginning to move. We're also in the midst of treating with another very large issue, which is the appointment of a Commissioner of Police. So all of these things run concurrently, and therefore the work can happen. I anticipate that we have a fairly robust schedule ahead of us. As you know, the Office of the Attorney General does not shy away from hard work, and we're prepared to put in the effort behind it, and we'll report in due course.
Okay.